Thor: Love and Thunder. This is almost like a crossover between the Thor's Day comics and the regular Total Recall show.
We saw this in the theater.
It's been a while since, like, we love going to see a movie for official Total Recall business.
Mm-hmm. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was very fun. Like, I mean, yeah, Taika Waititi, that's kind of what he brings to it. One before this, Thor Ragnarok, very funny. Humor is even more to the fore. And Ragnarok had like a better balance of like humor and drama and stakes and whatever. And as like this was way in the comedic end of things.
It was interesting too. Like it had like like a ton of comedy, like a ton, but also it was like two polar opposites. Like the villain and like Christian Bale's performance and that whole storyline was like super sad and serious. So it was
very
like,
very scary too.
It's very scary. So it was like
you're right.
Too like.
You know what it's because like my memory of it is that it was like maybe too much humor, but I think really what's going on, it's that thing of like if you eat something really salty and then have something sweet, it feels extra. It's like that. It was like really scary bits, and it kind of made the funny stuff like
pop even harder.
Yeah,
I was getting choked up, as with Christian Bale's.
It was
God. Was it the God Killer?
The God Killer. Now, another thing that maybe took away a little bit from my enjoyment of this movie was just that thing of like, if you like the source material too much, the movie kind of has a lot to live up to, and that kind of happened here because the God Killer storyline in the comics, it's such a good comic, beautiful artwork, great story, really like, the comic is just so amazing, has it all. It's the first and only time I wrote like a letter to a comic.
What?
My letter didn't get published, probably because I forgot to write okay for publishing, which is what you're supposed to write when you send like a letter. I just sent a letter. I was kind of expecting to see more of what was in the comic when I saw the movie, and it wasn't. The character was there, the God Killer, but he's a very frightening, very this character that is like very intimidating, and the way they humanize him in the movie, again, it works and it's good, but it wasn't what I was looking.
Did he look like the character in any fit way? Like...
More or less. You know what? They had to change a couple things because he kind of looks like Voldemort in the comic. Like he has like no nose. He's kind of kind of like a snake-like appearance in the comic, and like they gave him a nose because I think they probably couldn't be like, it would just be like, okay, that's Voldemort.
Christian Bale's so method, like the machinist. He's like, I'm cutting my nose off. For this one.
Yeah,
he's like having
maybe
nose.
That's why they did. They were like, we don't want him to cut his nose. We're going to write into the script that he has a nose specifically.
It's like the meeting the suits strap. Don't tell him his character has a horn on his forehead.
I keep waiting for a Thor movie to have AC/DC's Thunderstruck in it. Why has that not happened yet? And it's like
when has that really not been in a movie?
It's never been in a Thor movie. Like it's so, like to me, that's such a no-brainer, and it would be so great, and people would lose their minds. Thunderstruck. Now I thought the real moment for it would have been in Thor Ragnarok when he's fighting the Hulk in this arena. And there's this whole audience, and it's like how perfect, because it kind of sounds like a stadium full of people. It's like you can picture all the aliens in the same going, thunder. To me, I'm guessing that Taika Waititi or somebody like maybe the writer, somebody wrote it to have AC/DC's Thunderstruck in it, and then they were kind of like, that's not a big enough hit. Let's do Led Zeppelin instead. And that Led Zeppelin, that's like, I love that song. It's one of my favorites. And it's got all these, Viking references and Hammer of the Gods. So it makes sense. But Thunderstruck is somebody needs to, somebody out there, go make a fan edit.
Add that in there.
Add in AC/DC's Thunderstruck to Thor Ragnarok to the fight with Hulk and see how it plays out. Because I think thunder. And in this one, Thor Love and Thunder. This one, there was a scene where it would have been perfect too, but instead they had Welcome to the Jungle. They had Guns N' Roses instead, and again, I feel like should have had Thunderstruck, but the thinking probably is like, okay, Thunderstruck, not as huge a hit as Welcome to the Jungle, and again, it's kind of like an older, like we've talked about this before, that like you can't go any further back than the 90s.
Yes.
Any further back than the 90s in a modern movie is just too far back. It's like, why, it's like, why don't you put the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy in this song? Like, that's what it's like if you go past the 90s. So that's probably what it was, you know.
A 21-gun salute! Artie Lang. Fire!
Well, because, you know, you could have, for those about to rock, because that's like for those about to die, we salute you. It's like a gladiator song. You have that in Thor Ragnarok, and then thunder. There's a buoy struck. It's a version of Thunderstruck. It goes baba booey, baba booey, baba booey, thunder. Another thing for this Thor, like again, it's just I went in with too much baggage, and also like I love Thor. Thor is probably my favorite Marvel character, not my favorite comics character hands down, but my favorite like Marvel character. So I got a lot of baggage coming in, and as like a fan of Thor, I am a bit like disappointed in the way he's been handled in these movies. I didn't like that in the Thanos sequel, how he got kind of sidelined, and how, you know, Captain America got to use his hammer, and so, yeah, they're just
John Denver.
John Denver. Yeah, he's getting cuckolded by Captain America is John Denver, and Thor is
Martin Cove.
Yeah, is Martin Cove. So
that was a callback
sure.
to our Higher Ground episode.
Yeah, John Denver. Chris Elliott must have seen Higher Ground before he made his Eagle Heart. I think.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
he definitely was watching
that. Yeah.
John Denver punches a guy, and then Martin Cove was like, "Damn, you're the toughest son of a bitch I've ever seen."
Came into this movie with maybe too much baggage, because it was like, then there was like this long running story where Jane Foster becomes Thor, okay, and like Natalie Portman's character. I remember when that, because like these kind of storylines where it's like, okay, Jane Foster's Thor now. They get headlines. They get news. So, like, I remember my father-in-law contacted me about that. So, you know, it mission accomplished. They reached. You know, they got somebody who's not. You know, they weren't preaching to the choir. With it. So, but you know, it what made it work really well was that it wasn't like, oh, there's Thor and Jane Foster as Thor. It was like in the comic, it was like Thor's gone, presumed dead, or whatever, and now Jane Foster is Thor. It's not like, you know, she is Thor now, and you're gonna have to live with it. And you know, so there's kind of like this vacuum with Thor gone, and she fills it, and she's Thor. So I thought, oh, interesting. I knew Chris Hemsworth wasn't going to be completely gone from the story, but I figured there'd be sort of a span of time that we'd see where it's like, yeah, he's out of the picture, and it's Jane Foster. But in this, it's kind of like that's all backstory. Like you just get little glimpses of that, but you don't get like, you know, you have two Thors. So it kind of takes away it. Like, I would have liked to have seen Natalie Portman sort of have her moment where she is Thor, as opposed to like a Thor sidekick. You know,
you're right. You know, sharing screen time.
Yeah, and I understand. Like, you know, they do what they have to do, and it's not a comic; it's a movie. And also the way Disney Plus is handling all these Marvel things, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Thor TV series where we get to see, you know, the years when Jane Foster was Thor and Thor was off in space, presumed dead, and you know
that I'm sure that's in the works.
It's already filmed. It's sitting on like the hard drive or whatever, waiting. It's like when you upload a YouTube video and like you set the timer on. It's already got the timer for where it's going to release on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus.
Kevin Feige is the one that's like it's his own personal, just like
he has to type up the text
for it. He's like, all right, I've got the new Thor series set to drop at midnight. I deleted it by accident.
The Thor Love and Thunder Happy Meal toys. Did you see any of those?
No, not yet.
They have like an action. You press a button in the back and they like swing their hammer.
That's cool.
They're not bad. Disney's been kind of, McDonald's has been going hard with these like sort of fake bobblehead or fake Funko Pop kind of like oversized head kind of characters and stuff.
Is that what's currently in the Happy Meals now?
No, no, of course not. I don't know what's in the Happy Meals now. I know it was like Pokemon for a little while, and like I've been seeing these like adult Happy Meals.
I saw that too, and like
it's too much food.
Too much.
The regular
food,
Happy Meal is the perfect amount of food.
Like with the new adult Happy Meal, I like how they have the box situation.
Yeah, box looks cool.
But
I might have to pick one up on my way home from Total Recall Studio.
You might have to, like, dude. If you do, let me know, because like the thing is, they have the original like Hamburglar and Grimace back, but like, the only problem is they're like, I think it's a collaboration with an artist who puts 4 eyes on them. So like you're not getting the classic.
It's got a little twist.
Little twist.
You've piqued my curiosity. I'm gonna. Is it the 4-armed Grimace? Because that was the original Grimace.
The original Grimace. No, it's a classic. Just 2.
Now.
He was supposed to be an alien, right?
I forget what he's like a monster that lives in a cave. But like I hadn't heard about these adult Happy Meals. I just saw one sitting on top of a garbage can in front of South Hills Village, and I'm like, what is like? That's a Happy Meal. That's a big Happy Meal. Like, so it's kind of the perfect way to describe, and then later on, I kind of started seeing things online about the adult Happy Meal. It's like a boat. It's like this big box, big fucking box.
It's huge.
That's too much food. Like that's the family meal. That's the, you kind of, it's the party pack or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Special Jet Effects Supervisor Brian Johnson. Welcome to Satan's Chamber. Again, like, felt a little too humorous for my taste. Like, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I can't complain. And I enjoyed it, start to finish. Just like, from my personal taste, I like Thor to be a little more, like, have a little more seriousness, a little, a little less jokey. And, like, put the jokes here and that, but not here. And, like, so Thor has these 2 goats. And they're from Mythology. In the Walt Simonson Thor run, which is like a definitive Thor run, like you got the Jack Kirby stuff, and then you got the Walt Simonson stuff, and like everything else is in the shadow of those 2 things. But he like Walt Simonson starts introducing, like he goes down the list, starting introducing all these like mythological elements, and so the Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder they're the 2 the 2 goats, and when he introduces them, they're so awesome and so cosmic, and they're like pulling Thor's chariot through space, and it's so awesome, like in the comic, and it's like, fuck, it is like a wild kind of weird visual, but it is hard as fuck. In Love and Thunder, they kind of take the easy route of like making fun, how silly, and they're these annoying, like goofy, like they never get their hero moment, and maybe it happened somewhere and got cut out, but they're just, and it feels very like New Zealand, where it's like sort of like livestock jokes. Like it feels definitely like akin to, like, it feels like straight out of Flight of the Conchords. You know?
Like Chris Hemsworth is probably excited. He's like, "You're not gonna believe this. I'm gonna take the piss out of this character." He's like, "This is my chance to like."
Yeah, like Thor was like one of the more serious, Marvel characters. Like he was kind of like a somber guy. Like he never cracked a smile in the comic.
In this one, it's like he's got like the Marx Brothers glasses on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a Thor character who's kind of like a fan favorite, and he's from the Walt Simonson run, and his name's Beta Ray Bill, and he's like this alien.
I heard that name.
And he gets Thor's hammer, and so far he hasn't shown up in it, but like we're so overdue for him. Hopefully there's another Thor movie on the horizon, and it would be great to see Beta Ray Bill. And again, like Jane Foster becoming Thor, it's like a character where it's like, wait, the Thor we know isn't Thor anymore. This other guy or girl has the hammer and is now Thor. Like, maybe if they do a Beta Ray Bill movie, we'll finally get that thing of like Thor's out of the picture, and then somebody else gets it. And maybe that's it. Maybe I know a lot of these like Marvel superhero guys are like retiring. They're kind of like hanging up their Tenny.
Where's Tenny?
And Chris Evans and stuff. So maybe Chris Hemsworth is going to hang up his, and then like Beta Ray Bill takes over, or Natalie Portman comes back or something.
What a world where like you're attached to this thing that generates you all this fucking money. Yeah. And then it, like, I just can't fathom it. They're like, I'm tired of, I don't want to receive a $20 million pay. Like,
Money. Yeah, it is that thing of. I think it was like a Stephen Colbert routine or something, but where he was saying that the idea is that if we give billionaires enough money, maybe they'll get sick of it. It's like like it's kind of happening with, but also like you're talking about, how what a world for that. But then it's also like for me, it's like I'm sitting here complaining because the fourth Thor movie was not quite up to my expectations. What a world!
3 months of work, we're gonna give you $20 million, and I'm turning it down.
Yeah. No thanks.
No thanks.
Money can't get you everything. But yeah, it is what a world. What a world. That the first 3 Thor movies were A+, but man, I am mad because this fourth one is like it's just an A-. Russell Crowe, like I heard he was in it, and then when he shows up, it is like just a really great surprise. Really as Zeus, but even with that, I was kind of like, and Hercules and stuff, I was kind of like, you know what? This is not doing the Greek pantheon justice, and the Greek pantheon by way of Marvel, like the Marvel Greek, like Jack Kirby, created that Marvel Zeus, and he's not getting the respect he deserves. Yeah. What's going on here?
Remember, I thought it was a Belushi. They're like, for this role, he's like, I'm gonna be about 200 pounds overweight for it, all right? They're like, you don't know what role we were going to offer him for you. And he's like...
he thought he was going to be Volstagg, but...
He's already prepping for the role he doesn't have yet. He's like...
Well, because he saw that, like, Chris Hemsworth had the beer gut in that second Avengers Thanos movie, so...
He's like... Yeah.
He's like, duty calls.
Duty calls. Do what I gotta do. He has a whole bratwurst. He like just drops it.
Talking about like famous like roles turned down. Russell Crowe turned down the role of Wolverine in X-Men.
What?
Now, I mean, Hugh Jackman, star-making role and stuff, and what a great job. But like, man, how perfect would Russell Crowe have been?
That would have been a cool Wolverine.
He turned it so like. It is. There are some people where it's like, what they kind of, and maybe for the best. I don't know. Like they chose not to be a superhero because you think of like the stigma that comes when you're like people just can't think of you as anything else or whatever. So he passed on that. I think like Leo DiCaprio famously he never wanted to be in any of these superhero movies, and then or to be a superhero in them or whatever. And then John Hamm. Did not want to be in any of these kind of superhero.
Wow.
Like, he could have been like he could have played Superman maybe or whatever. He refused. So like, there's these and Russell Crowe. Add him to the list of like guys who like chose not. But then now he's coming back, and I guess like as an actor, it probably is more fun to come to enter this these like superhero movies as this like outrageous character as opposed to like if he had to be like Wolverine it'd just be like real serious all the time.
There's another Wolverine. It's Doug Ray Scott is the guy's name.
Yeah.
I think he was either he was like cast and had the part, but he turned it down he was the villain in the second Mission Impossible movie.
Okay.
And he picked that over.
That's my least watched Mission Impossible movie. Ben Vereen was considered for now
he had right of first refusal. For some reason he owned the screenplay.
Well, that was the story. Like it made more sense. Yeah, when they were talking about doing an X-Men movie in the 70s and in the 80s, Ben Vereen. But by the time they made it, he was too old for the role. Like the stories I've heard too were like Hugh Jackman was like a last minute substitute because again it's like what was he before that? It was like maybe it was that guy dropping out. Yeah,
Doug Ray Scott
dropping out at the last minute or something. But like it was like we need somebody and we need somebody now. There he is. It was like Kim Basinger in Batman or whatever.
Oh yeah,
because that was like a last minute. That was like get on a plane. You're coming to Pinewood Studios. Oh, I'm gonna be a Bond girl. No, you're gonna be Batman's girlfriend. Batman has a girlfriend. What? Sean Young was gonna be Vicky Vale and looking every bit the Tim Burton heroine, and then last minute. The first Thor feels like, oh, that's a recent movie. This was maybe like, 10, 15 years ago? So, like, they've been doing these things forever. So of course they're at the stage where it's like, Thor learns how to be a dad, by the end of it. Chris Hemsworth's brother was in it.
Oh, yeah. And Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon again, like, because that's become like a highlight now. You go back to Asgard and you get to see, like a play in Asgard acting out the previous movie. And this one was amazing.
Great.
And it was, like, I laughed out loud seeing Chris Hemsworth's brother up there as Thor.
And Matt Damon, he was playing Loki.
Loki, yeah. That was a reprisal of his performance from Thor Ragnarok.
So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out Love and Thunder again, because again, like, I came out of it like just a little underwhelmed, and I knew that had sort of more to do with me and my knowledge and interest of the character. Sometimes your fandom of something can sort of blind you a little bit, but I think it was still a good movie. I want to give it another look.
Yeah, me too.
You know what else? Thor Ragnarok was so outrageously Kirby-esque, and like that just went straight to my heart. Loved it so much. So it's like, this one was not. This one was coming from a different direction, and so yeah, it's like you got a Kirby-esque movie. You got my second time around not hearing a Thunderstruck in a Thor movie. So Thunder. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll make one.
A fire, a 21 hammer, salute.
You're not the god of hammers. You're the god of thunder. So you've been watching the Thor Love and Thunder episode of the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And please follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli, on Instagram at Tom_Scioli, and currently it's Jacktober. Jack Kirby, creator of the Marvel Thor and all the ancillary characters. Celebrate Jacktober by doing a series of drawing based on a series of drawing prompts, one for every day of October. You can find out more. On my Twitter at Tom Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And please support my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli.
You can follow the Total Recall Show on Instagram at total_recall_show.
Okay, we'll see you next time.